So, welcome to Fanfest. How many have been here before? Okay, a lot of new people. And welcome to Iceland. You will experience many things when it comes to the weather. Maybe not as much as CCP Krakkur, who is now an internet celebrity for being blown away in her garden. But we hope all that's over. So this is where it all began, here in Reykjavik, both EVE Online and this crazy concept of Fanfest. And now we're coming all here together for the 11th time. It's kind of crazy. So this is actually the second biggest Fanfest ever. The only bigger was the 10-year birthday of EVE Online in 2013, which was a pretty big deal. And it's amazing that we are on this ride when it comes to Fanfest growing stronger and stronger. We're also expecting a lot more people to be watching on the stream. We're now giving the HD stream away for free. So we'll maybe have some stat on Saturday how many people have been watching from the stream. And EVE is now on its 12th year. It was turned from the little engine that could into, I don't even know what to call it today. And even on its 12th year, EVE is doing things I don't think anyone could imagine could be done this far into the life cycle of an online service. So not only have we changed a lot in how EVE development is managed, we're also kind of following with that on how Fanfest is going to happen. So we're going to have all our big presentations happen today. So now we're going to have the opening, which we're now doing, and we're going to learn about all the VR stuff that we're doing. And then the EVE keynote is going to be at 5, which is super important to realize. All the juicy bits are going to come here to you at 5. And then on Saturday, we're more going to have fun, just talk about everything that's going on at Fanfest, everything we have learned from all of you, interacting with the material we're putting out here, all the roundtables and panels. And this is an effort to kind of get out of the fact that Fanfest is now 3 days. Actually, when we started, Fanfest was barely 1 day. So waiting with all the material until Friday and Saturday had just put this in motion where the beginning of Fanfest has not been as productive as it could be. So now we're going to put it all out on the Thursdays. So when you go to panels and roundtables, you'll be able to openly discuss everything with the developers. And this has been a feedback point you've often raised. So all trailers, all announcement, everything is going to happen today. On Saturday, it's going to be kind of more fun and games and giving back. So don't expect any big trailers, any big things happening on Saturday. Still show up. It's going to be a lot of fun. Don't like take it too far when it comes to pub crawl and all that. So all the content and announcements today, and then of course we follow through with what works really well is all the developer sessions where we now can more sort of digest and deep dive into the content. I think this is going to be a much better format, and it's certainly going to open up much more the conversations that our developers have. And we're not changing that. We're going to have a lot of devs talking to players, but more and more we want to kind of move Fanfest to a place where it's more about players talking to each other. So we have the record amount of player presentations for this Fanfest. So expect more of that, and this is something we hope to evolve into the future. Often what goes on in EVE Online, the greatest moments are frankly what you, the players, do. Us here, the janitors, keeping it clean. It's important work, it needs to be done, but we want to put the spotlight on you. So maybe this keynote will be done by a future galactic interlot of EVE Online a decade from now. I'll just be home. Maybe. So we are now doing a lot of hands-ons and tournaments for our games. And I now need to make an interlude. Sigrún, the monitors are shutting down. And we want to make a bit of a call out to Intel and NVIDIA, which has helped us set up some pretty beefy machines where all our VR stuff is taking place on. We have the Titan X that just got announced from NVIDIA. It's not even on sale yet, but they loaned us a bunch. So when you try out the VR demos we have here in the VR labs and with Valkyrie, then you'll be using things that nobody really has access to. It's kind of a world first on many dimensions. And of course, you can get a tattoo, you can get something less permanent, and all that good stuff is going to go on. But we're all here in March, barring an epic storm happening in Iceland because of this guy. This is a forum post from 2009, where this player alerted us to the fact there's going to be a solar eclipse. So we actually booked the Harpa that was not even built at the time for this specific date. So so even if it might get a little crazy tonight, make sure you wake up at 9 and come enjoy the fact that we're going to blot out the sun. And speaking of like world-shattering events like a solar eclipse, then we have now for the first time the battle of Serenity and TQ, where these two worlds will collide. I've had a long-standing dream since we opened up Serenity that we will find a way to kind of link together the two shards so we can really deliver on the ideal of having a single shard. I have some crazy ideas in my head about a VPN tunnel that goes from TQ when you're in a level 9 wormhole and it goes through the Chinese firewall, comes up Serenity, and I don't know, maybe TQ players, they're like NPCs on the other side, some insanity like that. It's probably going to take 50 years to make that happen, and it probably will be different. But in the meantime, we will have the 5 best Serenity players battling against the Camel Empire that won the last year Alliance tournament. So they're going to duke it out, and they are going to basically decide who is the winner of EVE. No, maybe not so much, but at least the world champion for this year. So that's pretty exciting. Then, of course, pub crawl. And now with the content coming out on Thursday, I might be able to go to pub crawl, but still, it looks kind of dangerous. I'm not sure. I'll think about it. And then, like I say, on Saturday, we'll have the closing ceremonies and the party. So we'll have me and our EPs and some other people at CCP come and kind of share what we have learned by telling you everything that we're going to tell you today, and feedback from all the playtest and products and experiments we're doing throughout the Harpa. So we'll have some sort of feedback and observations from that. Then on Sunday, I hope some of you make it to the Blue Lagoon. I think I'm just going to be home sleeping, but it's pretty cool, the Blue Lagoon. Okay, some already have been there. So we've achieved some amazing things for our key products since Fanfest. Eve, Dust, and Valkyrie have made amazing progress. Of course, when it comes to Eve, there's been a huge change in how we deliver EVE Online. This is the picture from Andy's presentation from last Fanfest, where she talked about moving from 2 big releases to 6 weeks release cadence, and here's the presentation on basically what it has done since then. And she's going to talk about, she's going to crack it up a notch even more, which I don't even know how it's possible, but Andy is taking us to different places, and it's going to be really exciting. And what this has basically unlocked, which I think you have already noticed, is that there's going to be a lot of talking and thrashing when you have to get to the precision of 6 months. But now that we're releasing every 6 weeks, and mostly basically means for all intents and purposes, we're all kind of always releasing, that kind of have unblocked so many conversations and thrashing at CCP, which now has led to a lot faster product delivery, but it's also led to a courage I haven't really seen in the EVE team for the longest time on making some deep fundamental changes to get EVE closer to what it is, because the current software incarnation of Eve is far close to what it could become. And now with this release cadence, I think we kind of have unlocked the next stage of Eve development, and again at 5 today, Andy will walk us through that. Same thing has been happening to Dust. How many Dust players are here? Yeah, there's some. So, on Dust, we have also done 8 updates. The game is in its healthiest state in a long time. The latest release, the Council of Planetary Management, has been pivotal in really helping Roos and Snorri to get the game into the state it's in. It's really been it's been amazing to see how much the game has improved. If you haven't tried it lately, I definitely encourage you to go into it again. Last year, we talked about Project Legion, and since then, there have been a hashtag army on my Twitter to greenlight Project Legion. We have nothing new to report on that. We're still exploring something in that area, but really the effort is going to continue to go on Dust, keep the really good momentum we have on that front. And we have more to talk about Legion when we're ready to talk about kind of where that is leading. So I would say overall, CCP now is in its best state that it's ever been, but it's been quite a ride. So I talked about focus last year, and since then we have been doing some pretty fundamental changes to CCP. You've seen some of this on the outside. The Eve release cadence is an example of that, but there's also been some deep change within the company. And I'm going to kind of take you through the journey we have been on, or at least an abbreviated version, because through this process we have stopped making World of Darkness. We have had to say goodbye to many friends and family at CCP to really get the company in a state where we can deliver on the many things we have been talking to you about for many years on this stage. So I'm going to walk you through something that is called the CCP Declaration, that I wrote down in June last year and has been kind of a guiding light to get us to the place we're currently at. So the first thing that declaration talks about is no manifest destiny. So CCP has gone a bit into the behavior of we're selling and talking a lot about a vision for where we're going. And then we don't deliver on that vision on the timeline that we're talking about. And this is because we have done many great things, but we also failed on many other things. And we have gone into talking way too much about the vision and not enough about the product delivery. So still, what we put out in 2011 with Eve, a future vision, I would say this still generally applies. Probably going to end up somewhere different when we sort of move through all the paces. But we're definitely going to calm down a lot standing on this stage with glossy PowerPoints talking about this vision, and we're going to talk a lot more about what we are actually delivering on a yearly basis, and frankly, we're just going to talk a little less. So this is another... So there's going to be less talk about this vision, and there's going to be more action on delivering actual products to you guys. And again, Eve release cadence is an excellent example of that. That has just unblocked so many endless conversations at CCP that now funnel into delivering the goods, getting the feedback, and getting the cycle just much faster. And it's amazing how much the action has improved on various fronts at CCP. There's also going to be less hype and more substance. There's a lot to learn on the difference from Dust to how EVR turned into Valkyrie, where we took a tech demo here to Fanfest, got feedback, and we followed that through, versus we came to Fanfest with a metric ton of PowerPoint, and then you guys had to wait. So we're expecting to see more of this, where we bring something to you here, we get the feedback, and we follow that train, and we follow that rocket to where it can go. So when you try some of the things in our VR labs, we're trying to follow that pattern. So we're going to talk a little less about that on stage, and we're going to get more feedback to you in the VR labs. It's also with VR, it's almost impossible to talk about it. So make decisions and move on. That has also been an issue at CCP. There has been a lack of discipline to make decisions. So we have decided something a long time ago, and it keeps on going and going and going. And for sure, it's been extremely difficult when it relates to things like World of Darkness. But we need to be much more efficient at doing this. But it's also some of the decisions we've made are on the positive side. We have made the decision to go kind of further into VR. And that's a lot inspired by, we took EVR to you guys 2 years ago, and we've kind of been following that train still. And VR has kind of become a big deal since. This is like an analyst report from Superdata, where they're estimating to be more than 10 million VR devices at the end of next year. And there's a lot of people now entering into the kind of revolution of VR. We have people like Razer, Valve, NVIDIA, Samsung, Epic, AMD, Intel, and more, which have joined Oculus and Sony that had already announced things. But there's a lot happening now in this space. If you were at GDC this year, it was kind of the VR GDC. So I would say you guys have kind of helped us to come to this because the feedback we got on Valkyrie very much kind of guided us into this place. And now we've kind of taken that and opened up kind of more little teams which have things to show you now at Fanfest. So I remember this. I stood on stage here in 2013 with Nate Mitchell, the VP of product at Oculus. And I was talking about some stuff. I've basically, when I kind of think about it, have been working in VR since, I think, '96, when I started for a VRML company here in Iceland that was going to make Neil Stephenson snow crash happen in the next 5 years. Probably 50 years too early. But anyway, I was here talking about a fireball. So I was musing about something like, okay, if I were to move off my hand, and there would be a Kinect watching me, and I could somehow make a fireball with my mind, and then I could shoot it. And that was kind of crazy talk at the time. But we have a team in Atlanta led by CCP Dream Crusher. Who has done some pretty epic stuff. This is what it looks like. So basically, you can now, through this crazy jumbling of various technologies and hardwares put together, make a fireball with your mind. So this is what it kind of looks like properly. Here is Adam Craver, one of our VR luminaires, having a lightning and fire in his hands. And you can now go downstairs and try this out. The 2D picture doesn't really get you the feeling you get when you can make a fireball with your mind. Where this is going to go, we're not entirely sure. So we kind of need a bit of help on that. So we would love for all of you to go and try this. Talk to the guys downstairs. They have like a little survey. Come and talk to all of us as you experience it. This has the potential to go somewhere. This is really rough. This is basic prototype stuff. This is like stuff from our labs, but we really want to replicate the success of the journey of EVR, so really help us to determine where this should go. Also in Shanghai, we have another small team that was really inspired by kind of what Samsung and Oculus are doing with Gear VR. Gear VR is actually really cool. It has no wires. You can just put it on. It's extremely accessible. And they have done another kind of tech demo, which is basically you're kind of like a turret in the EVE universe on a massive battleship, and you're shooting incoming missiles. It's kind of like a mixture of Invaders and Missile Command, if you know those games. It's extremely cool. But again, we would love to hear feedback from you guys. So please go to the labs and try all these things out, and let's kind of replicate the journey that Valkyrie has gone on. And of course, These are kind of small little tech experiments we're doing and sharing with you here, but Valkyrie has gone from strength to strength from each Fanfest. And it's amazing what the game has come to. If you played it at the Fanfest last year ago and you played again, you wouldn't believe the momentum and the change and the improvement to the game. It was already pretty awesome, but I encourage you to try. So here, to come and talk to us a bit about that, we have Owen O'Brien, the executive producer of EVE Valkyrie.
Thank you. Hello, can you hear me? Yes. So literally 5 minutes ago, I managed to sneeze and bite my tongue, so that's a great start to this talk. So if I start pouring blood out of my mouth, it's not part of the act, call an ambulance. I'm also kind of a southpaw presenter, so I wanted to be over here, but these monitors are off, so if I'm walking around the stage a lot, that's why. Blame Sigrun. So yeah, this is my second Fanfest. They asked me back after last year. So I'm still quite a noob to the Fanfest party, but I think it's never too soon to start a tradition. And those of you here last year know that I came on and I talked about my shoes, and people are wondering where I was going with that. Well, I was going here. It was all part of a plan. I was leading up to this presentation because last year my shoes were kind of new, and I was a bit embarrassed they were new, and they weren't that cool. And now they've had a year. They're worn in. They're better. They're more comfortable. So they've improved over the years, and that's the theme of this talk. It's progress. So I had already planned this talk last year. I've got much more of these foot-based game development analogies, though I'm going to write a book about it. Progress, yeah, so what do I mean by progress? Well, I mean a couple of things. Progress, obviously, what we've been doing for the last year and how the game has improved, which it has a lot. But also progress in how the player progresses through the game. And I'll talk a little bit about how you develop through the game and what you unlock and what you'll experience. So progress is great, but to Hellmar's point, progress without a focus, without a goal, is just wandering. So, oh, I've clicked too. Has it gone through? Okay, sorry. So, one other thing, sorry, the blood in my mouth is distracting me. There are a number of exclusives this year. I revealed quite a few things last year. There are at least as many this year. Pretty much everything you'll see this year is exclusive for Fanfest, a world exclusive, so there's a lot of cool stuff to see in this presentation. But we need a goal. What's our ambition? What are we progressing towards? Well, we want to be the best competitive multiplayer in VR, and that's it. So if anything isn't contributing towards that, then we're not doing it. It's a great razor to cut through feature lists and decide what we're going to focus on. So that's where we're going, and where do we want to start? Well, we start at the beginning. Call me a rebel, but there you go. I'd like to shake things up. Now, Valkyrie, kind of the story, the fiction, the fantasy you're selling with Valkyrie all kind of begins and ends with Raun Kavak. Talked a bit about her last year. She's a Galente pilot who was killed in action and then wakes up in a secret Garista cloning facility, and she fights with the Garistas for a while, and then she discovers what they're really up to, and she breaks away to form the Valkyrie. Now, this story, which I've just told you, but there's more to it, is going to be told in a series of Dark Horse comics that are coming out later this year. However, the more observant amongst you will realize that if we're going to be doing comics, and this is such a pivotal character for us, we probably need to give her a face. We probably need to, you can't have her walking around with like Judge Dredd the whole time. Not that there's anything wrong with Judge Dredd, but, Sylvester Stallone, that's all I'm saying. So yeah, we wanted to give Round a face. And when I was briefing this in, the word I kept coming back to, the word that kind of embodied the Valkyrie for me, was the word wraith. You know, the definition of wraith very much describes what the Valkyrie go through. And also, it's kind of got this menace about it. This, you know, I wanted Round to look, you know, ethereal, but project sort of menace and power. So almost like an Angel of Death character. So one of the first exclusives you guys are going to see today is what Round actually looks like. So I'm personally very proud of this. I think she looks great. I think she's not, you know, stereotypical gaming character. All these images will be, you know, available on the website after the talk, I hope. Probably should have checked that before I said that, but now they will be. So yeah, that's Round. Where does that fit into, you know, our aspiration to be the best competitive multiplayer game in VR? Well, Round's story is the player story as well. It's the new player experience for the game. So you are with Round at each of these key moments in her life, and death, and life again, and death. She dies a lot. And each of these will form part of our new player experience, which you will play offline, and will sort of ease you into the game and the mechanics. I'm not going to talk about them all today, because, you know, got to save some stuff. But I'm going to talk a little bit about the first one, which is when Round is still in the Galenti Navy. Her name is Round Kavak, so she'll introduce herself as Lieutenant Kavak. So you play a cadet in the Galenti Navy, and part of what's cool about Valkyrie is Eve. So, you know, I wanted to give the player, you know, a gentle introduction to the game, but also to give them a glimpse at the scope and the spectacle of Eve. So this mission will actually take place in a huge Eve, a Galenti convoy. This is actually a screenshot from the game. So I could spend a lot of time trying to describe this mission, but you know, less talk, more action. So we're going to show it to you. Again, an exclusive. Now, it's really hard to convey, you know, the presence and the experience of VR, you know, on a 2D screen, but we're going to do our best. So what we've done is we've actually captured footage directly from the game, and so you'll see the head track movements. And less talk, more action. You know what? I'm probably just going to show the video, but just in the game, this will be a much longer mission because, you know, it's probably one of the first missions you do. You'll be given a lot of instructions to follow. We've kind of cut this down so it's an abridged version, but it is all real gameplay. It is Yui, CCP JBot flying it, and I'll talk a little bit more about that experience later. But let's just roll the video, please.
Begin systems check. Navigation systems online. Rockets online. Engines online. Magnetic catapult initialized.
Hold on tight, we're ready to deploy.
Launching in 3, 2, 1.
Missions are pretty routine, so let's use the time wisely and brush up on your flight skills. Activate boosters and group at the waypoint.
Esme 3 Tower, this is Convoy Hawk 6 Heavy. Do you copy? Esme 3 Tower, this is Convoy Hawk 6 Heavy. Do you read?
Where are you going, pilot?
No response from Esme 3 Tower. Hold bearing and continue approach pattern.
I don't like this. Something's up. Stay close. Cavik to all fighters. Align on Vector 3-9er. You've got multiple hostiles inbound. Form up on me and prepare to defend the carriers. If we lose them, we're stuck out here. Check your 6. Good kill. We're taking heavy losses here. Now hold them off. You head for our last carrier. Holy fuck. See you in the next life.
So, do you want to roll it again?
Welcome, pilot. Begin systems check. Navigation systems online. Rockets online. Engines online. Magnetic catapult initialized.
Hold on tight. We're ready to deploy.
Launching in 3, 2, 1.
Listen up. This is Lieutenant Cavik. Escort missions are pretty routine, so let's use the time wisely and brush up on your flight skills. Activate boosters and group at the waypoint.
Esme 3 Tower, this is Convoy Hawk 6 Heavy. Do you copy? Esme 3 Tower, this is Convoy Hawk 6 Heavy. Do you read?
Where are you going, pilot?
No response from Esme 3 Tower. Hold bearing and continue approach pattern.
I don't like this. Something's up. Stay close. Cavik to all fighters. Align on Vector 3-9er. in the next life.
So yeah, did I say gentle introduction? I lied. Was it just no? I wanted to give people the sense, fulfill that fantasy of being a small fighter in one of these epic Eve battles, and I think we did it. Now, there's a couple of deliberate mistakes you may have spotted. Not she's in a wraith rather than a cyclops, and we know, and there is a good reason for that. I can tell you what it is, but there is a good reason for that. I'm going to leave that glaring error up there. Again, I just wanted to shout out to Yoey, CCP bot, I think. This is actual gameplay footage, and that's what made it kind of fun to capture, because every take was different. Once those AI, those are real AI. Once they kick off, they just do their own thing. And I kept saying to Yoey, okay, that was great. Can you do that again? No. Maybe. So yeah, a lot of work went into this, and hopefully you can see it up on screen. So, okay, we're back in the room. Where does this leave us in terms of the multiplayer game? How does this link into it? Well, we have a progression in the maps as well. Each of these maps you play in the new player experience becomes a multiplayer map, but that you revisit later as a Valkyrie. So the convoy map, the ambush map, becomes a necropolis graveyard. So this is the map you'll play today, 100 yards that way, or meters. So you'll recognize, a lot of the stuff you've seen in the video in terms of the ships that are destroyed and the station in the background and the backdrop. And so you go back to this map in multiplayer, and I like the fact it gives the map some history and depth. This is where you died, and you're probably going to die here a lot more when you play the game. So again, this is a new map, first time it's being shown, and you can play it today. But what are you going to play on it? Well, you're going to play a new game mode. We've kind of improved our game mode since last year as well. We found we were getting a little bit away from the core of our game, which is the dogfighting. So the scenario is that two rival pirate factions have turned up at this graveyard and looking for salvage. And in a kind of very piratey way, it comes down to who wants it more. They've both got a threshold where it's not worth it anymore. They're taking too much damage. It's costing them too much collateral, and one of the ships will leave. So you win by inflicting more damage on the enemy than you are taking yourself, and that's on the enemy fighters. So you purely win by dogfighting. There is another layer of strategy in here, or tactics in here, which is that there are a number of control points along the map which you can capture. And these will, if you hold these control points, it'll give you a multiplier to the damage and the points that you're accumulating, so each kill counts more towards the win. Now, how do you capture these? Well, we went through quite a few capture mechanics, believe me, because it's not the same as an FPS where you can just sort of sit and camp, because that's kind of the exact opposite of what we want people to do. Believe me, we tried. We know it's not a good idea. So what we've got is this concept of these capture drones. So when you get within a range of a capture point, you press I think it's up on the D-pad. Could be wrong. Check before you go in. And it deploys a drone. You get one drone per ship, and you get one drone active at any one time. You can choose to sort of like self-destruct your drone and put it somewhere else. So the drone will start capturing. If you've got multiple drones on your side, it'll capture faster. If the enemy's got drones there, it'll balance out, and if there's equal, it'll be a stalemate. So there's another level of tactics there. You can, if you don't want to get into dogfighting, you can go along and be sort of a drone hunter, for want of a better word. So that's the game mode. Again, you get to play that at FanFest. Please give us your feedback, because that's why we're here. Valkyrie was kind of born here, so it's good to keep getting the feedback from you guys, and that's very important to us. Back to progression and talk a little bit about the ships this time. We only had one ship, the Wraith, the fighter, last year. This is still your starting ship. I mean, it's our kind of iconic ship. It's a highly versatile fighter, very maneuverable, and it's been amended a little bit since last year. We've still got the classic dogfighting primary weapon of the front-firing cannons. What this has forced us to do, though, is to look at the flight model. You'll find a new flight model when you play as well. It's a little bit more spacey, drifty. We found before people were just, with the same turning circle, we're just circling each other, and that wasn't fun. Now you can break out of that much more easily, and there's much more skill involved. It's still easy to fly, but there's much more depth to learn in flying. And, dogfighting is all, the cannons are all down to the dogfighting. The only way you can really get away from them is by being a better flyer, and the only way you can really score hits with them is by being a better flyer. My tongue's still going. The secondary weapon is the signature weapon. Since EVR, we've had these missile-locked, head-tracked missile locking head-tracked missiles. And they're actually pretty similar to what we had last year. Because they work pretty well. You can fire them off individually and lock them individually. The counter to those is we've still got an ECM system, which is a couple of little, you probably saw it in the video, a couple of little Gatlings that come up and will shoot down any missiles in your area. But they're on a cooldown, so you have to be careful and choose when to fire them, because then you're vulnerable to missiles while it's recharging. So that's restart, and then you can go in a number of different directions. I've just chosen one for the purpose of this presentation, which is taking upgrades and loadouts towards the heavy class of ship, which is the new class which you can play at Fanfest. So the Spectre heavy class, Spectre, Wraith. We're all keeping this kind of ghost in the naming for as long as we can until it starts to break, that analogy. This is a very different type of ship. You can't fly it like you can fly it like a fighter, but you don't get very far. Much heavier armor, less maneuverable, but it's much more powerful. It can last much longer in battle. It's got, instead of the head-tracked missiles, it's got head-tracked flak cannons, which do splash damage, and they've got pretty much the same degree of vision as the missiles. Really fun to use. It is less snippy and agile, but it has got a micro-warp drive, so you can sort of zip across the map if you need to get to a new place in the map, or get into the action. Again, this is on a cooldown, so you need to choose when to use it. And then it's got its anti-missile protection is electromagnetic shield. It kind of charges up like Hellmar's Tesla. No, it's a shield around the ship that will knock out any missiles that impacted when they're coming in for a period of time. Again, it's a thing you have to activate and choose to time. It has got a secondary purpose, which is while this is active, the flak rounds that pass through it will pick up the charge and become EMP rounds with splash damage. And these are really good for knocking out pesky fighters. And so they'll be hit by these things and drift in space, and then you can take them out with the main flak cannon. So again, new ship. Please play it. Please give us your feedback. And then development progress, you've kind of, it was up on the screen. If you didn't see the progress, then we're in trouble. But in terms of the overall development, where are we? Well, we're kind of at a stage now where, the core again is starting to feel good. We're still building out the content, but we're entering a playtesting phase. We've done a number of playtests within CCP, and we've started to extend these outside of CCP to some of our partners like Epic and NVIDIA and Oculus, and we'll keep rolling this out over time. And this is both to get feedback on our game, but also just test our systems and make sure we flush those all through before we go live. We are also starting an exclusive pre-alpha program. Now this is going to be invite only, very low numbers initially, and we'll gradually roll it out over time. You can sign up for this if you're interested. You can go into this URL and sign up with your CCP with your Eve or Dust login. It is, at the moment, anyway, it is, you need to have a headset, really, because, it's a VR game. And also, you probably need a pretty, decent PC. So think about that when you're signing up. You can always come back later if you get a headset and and change your status. But please register your interest anyway, because it'd be good to have a database of people who want to, help us test the game. Does anybody have DK2s in the audience? Oh, actually, quite a few. Well, that's cool. Well done. Around probably Saturday night, another 5 of you will have DK2s, because the tournament that we're running, the winning team, 5 people will get not only DK2s, but they will get guaranteed access into the testing program. So how do you get into the tournament? Well, you go and play the game, and then you get a ticket, which I think I have one here. That's my hotel card. You don't get that. Well, it depends what you look like. Yeah, you get a ticket. You put your name and email on it, and you put it into a box, a specific box, not just any box. And I think on Saturday, I keep being told this and I keep forgetting, I think Saturday at 12:30 in the Valkyrie room, we'll do a draw and we'll pull out 40 people, and they'll be in the tournament. So if you want to take part, please go along. Going back to our going full circle right back to our ambition of being the best multiplayer game in VR. This is going to be, we're pretty sure, the first sort of live streamed VR tournament ever. We're going to be streaming this on Twitch, certainly the semifinals and the finals. We've got, it's going to be commentated by experts. Experts at talking. Yeah, it should be really cool. So even if you're not taking part in it, please come along and watch it. It should be really exciting to watch. So, I mean, I'm the one standing up on stage here, and it's great to get all the applause and feedback. But there's a whole team back in Newcastle, and quite a few of them are here for Fanfest, actually more than ever before. And we've got lots of round tables. So please, come and talk to us, ask us questions. This is most of them. Spot the art director with the moody black and white shot. Yeah, so these are the times. Oh, look, it says there when the draw is. Hold on. Should have read my slides. Yeah, so we've got one this afternoon, Meet the Valkyrie, where everybody there, and maybe some more people, will just be on stage and introduce everybody. And so please feel free to come and talk to us when we're here. I mean, that's why we're here. Ask us any questions you want, and just hang out with us. I'd also like to shout out to all the team that are still back in Newcastle, probably in the pub. But it's great that a lot of the team can get to come here, and it's a shame that the whole team can't be here. But there's a lot of really talented people here, and a lot of really talented people back in Newcastle who made what you saw possible and what you're going to play possible. So that's kind of it. We've this is a first ever VR tournament. It's a new flight model. New ship, new game mode, lots of new stuff, and hopefully you'll have a great Fanfest, and please play as much Valkyrie as you can. Thank you very much.
So, this is pretty epic. I know you saw the trailer, and it was awesome to see the reaction to the trailer. And it's kind of, when you see how it's done, it's like Joey had like the Oculus Rift on his forehead, capturing it all in one session. But it still really doesn't give an impression of what it is to feel it when you play it. So I recommend everyone to queue it up and give us the feedback and all that. So I want to do a shout out to our friends at Oculus, which really helped us to get this far. We have some Oculus people in the audience, so please give them a bit of applause for this. So in this opening keynote, we've been talking a lot about what else we're doing besides EVE. That's a little bit like the journey. This is my daughter, Eva. I told you the story when I was mining for my thorax back in 2003, where she's there on my CRT monitor and all that. And then you see her there on the other side, and she's playing Project Nemesis, an early prototype. And she's actually in midstream in giving critique on it. I had to actually ended up taking a computer to take notes from Eva, my daughter, which I sent to Shanghai, and the game is much improved, I think, for her feedback. It's kind of amazing what 11 years old learn what to do by playing Minecraft and watching YouTube. They can tear games apart. And it's kind of interesting. My own relationship with EVE Online is a little similar. Back when I was there changing diapers of Eva, I was kind of changing diapers at EVE Online. I was one of the team that had to wake up 5 o'clock every single day to press reseed market throughout 2003. That's how rough the game was in the beginning. But just like my daughter Eva is now almost making her own games, EVE Online is now going to pretty amazing places. So not that you need encouragement, but I encourage everyone to make sure they're here at 5 when Andy will come on stage and lead you through what's happening in EVE Online. It's pretty epic. And we have done some reinforcements of the building to make sure that you don't blow the roof off when you give her the applause she deserves when she comes on. So I'm extremely proud to see what they're up to and where it's going. And I'm sure you will join me in that here at 5. And then make sure you wake up at 9 tomorrow to see the solar eclipse. Keep talking about what we're doing. And I'm sure if we continue this journey on, we'll really be able to deliver on the overall vision of making EVE go on forever. Thank you.